Hi, my name is Ann Shermans Gillis, and I am a director on the National Board of the Theosophical Order of Service in the United States of America. And I thought that you would like to get to know our board. So let us introduce our board members to you. Let's take it with our president.
My name's Ananya Sriram Rajan. I'm the president of the Theosophical Order of Service since, 2016. I'm actually currently living in Ojai, California at the Crotona Institute of Theosophy, volunteering my time there. And I'm happy to be on the board. I think service is one of the main components of my life, and it's always been a major integral component of my life.
I'm Barbara Abair. I am a director on the board of the TOS, the Theosophical Order of Service in the United States. And I'm also president of the Theosophical Society in America. I am currently on our campus, the campus of the Theosophical Society in America in Wheaton, Illinois. I've been on the board since 2017. I'm an ad hoc member of the board. That is, the president of the TSA is always included as a board member of the TOS. Service is a major component of our theosophical lives, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to provide this service.
Hi, I'm Jason Sriram. I am the treasurer of the TOS. I am also a member at large. I've been on the board since 2018. I live in Elburn, Illinois, which is just not too far from Wheaton. So I'm a member of the Wheaton Olcott Lodge and do attend meetings pretty regularly in Wheaton. I've been in TOS because I believe that service is an important component of theosophy, and theosophy is a way of life. It's not something that's just a cerebral intellectual thought process. So the TOS is, to me, the working arm of the love that the TOS provides to the world.
Hi, I'm Kathy Gann. I'm currently serving as the Vice President of the TOS in the United States. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've only been on the board, back on the board for a few months, but I served on the board previously from 2011 to approximately 2017 or 18. You know, I always say that the TS is my spiritual home, and it truly is, and my fellow members feel like family, very much like family. But with the TOS, I always feel so inspired by the work that's being done. So it is just pure delight and joy to be back on the board.
Hi, my name is Kate Gould. I live in Michigan. Right now, I currently hold the secretary position on the board of TOS. I'm also currently the president of the Detroit Lodge. I've only been on the board for the last, I think, a few months, maybe 6 months, I think. I believe it's an important role being on the TOS because it gives us a chance to serve in ways that we may not have otherwise. And it also helps to, I keep saying this, carry the torch where others have been leading the way for so long. And it's time for some of us younger folks to also get some experience in. So I'm greatly honored to be on the board.
Hello, my name is Justin Tanksley. I'm currently living in Wheaton, Illinois at the Theosophical Society's headquarters. I'm an employee here, and I'm fully submerged in some volunteer work and just living the theosophical life to the best of my ability. I'm brand new to the board, and I'm very happy to be a part of the TOS board. And I've been studying with the TS since 2017. I'm learning to meditate, and what better way to complete the three legs of the Theosophical Society's work than to be on the TOS board and give back some of my time and energy, not only to the TS, but to our communities and the world at large.
And I'm Ann Sermons-Gillis, as I mentioned before, a director on the board, and I have been on the board since February of 21. I was so excited when Peggy Hubel called me. I think I called Peggy to talk to her about something. She said, would you be interested in being on the TOS board? And I got so excited. I said, oh yes, absolutely. So I'm so glad to be here. I live in Summerville, South Carolina. That's the deep South near Charleston, South Carolina. And I just love being on the board. I'm happy to be here and so glad to be with these wonderful people tonight so that we can let you see a little bit into the operation of the TOS and who we are. So we have some questions that we just want to throw out for the board members and see what you think about these. Just wonder, we look into the future and we have to use our imagination. We have to stretch and have our visionary eyes on. And I wonder, what are some of your visions for the future of the Theosophical Order of Service?
You know, I think that the TOS, as the service arm of the Theosophical Society in America, provides an opportunity to serve humanity in ways that we would not ordinarily think about. And I can only imagine the TOS continuing to grow and to strengthen as the years go forward.
You know, Barbara, I agree with you. And, you know, if you want to take a look at what the future brings, sometimes you have to look at what the past has done. And the TOS, since its founding under Annie Besant, has been a benevolent organization that has worked in different ways than many of the big organizations we see that do service in the world. And we've worked for the life of all creatures and the life of all things, and to try to end suffering in the world. And it's a different motto than, you know, what you might find the American Red Cross or other organizations do. And it's so important to look at, you know, what the TOS has done and know that need is always going to be there. So the TOS, I think, to your point, will always continue to grow and to be a critical element in the world. It's a pleasure to be a part of it.
I'll just mention that we don't always know what we're going to be doing, for one thing, because we're in such a fast-paced world that changes, that things that we would have done 10 years ago, we can't even do now. We have to stretch on the spot. And one of the great things about the TOS is that we are all over the world. So if there is a crisis or a disaster, we've got members who are right there in the middle of the crisis, and we can help, we can send them support, we financially support them, we certainly support them with our thoughts and prayers. And this is a little bit different than many organizations because we are right there on the scene.
I think also there's a major component of theosophy, which kind of changes what we do, how we do something compared to other service organizations. You know, theosophy takes into consideration the one life. And it's not just the one manifested life, it's the one life that's even unseen. So the way that we do the work, it has to be in harmony. It has to hold compassion, you know, and I've seen that happen in the local groups, and I've seen that traveling to different TOS groups around the world and so forth, there's just this different quality of the way the work is done. And that quality is because of Theosophy.
And we're not doing this work in order to become better people, in order to serve ourselves, because pat ourselves on the back because we did something nice. We think we should have done something. We do it out of pure altruism. And Blavatsky said Theosophy is altruism. And so do you have any other points about why the TOS is important?
Well, I feel like the TOS is important because it gives an outlet for people who are trying to serve and may not know how, giving opportunities in places that they didn't know that they could previously be able to serve in those areas. I personally used to work in soup kitchens with my mom because she used to drag us there. And, as I had left the church, I was missing that ability to serve. And so when I, became a Theosophist and part of, this society, this culture that we have, I found the TOS through one of I called my Theosophist mom, and she gave me that opportunity. And it's a fulfillment for that ability to serve and seeing that good things can come about even in the chaos of the world when people are suffering.
To me, the TOS is important for the fact that it's a bit of an outreach into our society. It takes members of the Theosophical Society and gets them out into the world. And it changes the perception of what Theosophy is when we're out and we're doing good works in our neighborhoods. People don't look at us like, well, there's that weird place in Wheaton and we don't know what it is, but they actually see the people that come out and start working alongside them. I know I've seen that in the work we've done in some of the local locations we've worked at, and the People's Resource Center, for example. No one knew who were those Theosophist people that were over there, but when TOS went in and worked side by side with them, hand in hand with them, they got to know us a little bit, and it actually works a little bit as an outreach to try to explain Theosophy and spread what we do in the world. So it's important for us to do that.
It's like an unintended benefit when we go out and serve others, then they see us. There's so many things that we can receive from service, but what is service to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, I just wanted to add, to what Jason has said, though, about that. I was also thinking about the fact that sometimes it's through the TOS that people come to Theosophy. It's a great way to introduce people to Theosophy. And it's, it turns into this wanting to serve by people who know nothing about Theosophy. You get into a conversation with them, and then suddenly they want to know more about the Theosophical Society. So it works both ways. It benefits, in both ways.
And I don't know that all of our members understand that if you, in the United States, if you are a TS member, a Theosophical Society of America member, then you're also a member of the Theosophical Order of Service. Everybody is welcome. As a matter of fact, even if you're not a member, you're welcome as well. So that takes us back to the question, what is service to you? What does that mean to you? Ananda, I will put you on the spot, and you said something earlier to me before we recorded, and that was for people to really understand the heart of service, what it does spiritually. Could you speak to that for a moment?
Well, there's studies, meditation, and service. There's 3 pillars of, that the Theosophical Society talks about. And so much focus is on study and meditation. But it's when you go out into the world and you sort of forget yourself that you're actually taking those things that you've studied, the meditations that you've done, and you put it, you put it to the test. Where are you? Where are you when you are helping other people? And, service isn't just about being kind to other life forms and other human beings. There's this the whole law of altruism is something that we have to learn to live by, because we live in an interdependent world. We can't survive just as by ourselves. So this whole understanding of service as a spiritual component, it's something that is integral to the spiritual life, because we're part of nature. We're not separate from it. And in turn, to live as part of nature, we have to understand that we also have to give as we've received. So I can't personally, I can't stress how important service is in our spiritual life. And I think the TOS is a great outlet for that.
Well, service is action. It's really taking our values and placing them into the community. Does anyone else have anything to say about what service means to you? Your working definition?
I think Ananya answered that really well, but I'll just say from my perspective, or in my words, Theosophy teaches the idea or the truth of the oneness of all life. And with that being said, this life gives so much, not just to me, but to all of us. And as we begin to understand more and more and learn more and more, we begin to realize that it's not only a receiving from the one life, but also a giving back, and almost balancing those scales and bringing a balance to the energy that we've received. So service is a wonderful way to give back to that life, and because we're all a part of that. And so it also teaches me to understand that we aren't separate. But I do believe Ananya said basically all of that. But those are my words.
Did you have something, Barbara? I saw that you were getting ready to say something.
I was, and I just really wanted to say a little snippet of what Justin said, which is that Ananya's comments were so beautiful and so accurate, but supplemented beautifully by Justin. There's little to add after those two statements, so thank you.
Yes, when we are in service, it's not just to others, we are service to a higher order or vibration in the universe. It's just that it's like the light is filtering down, and we're kind of the arms and the legs that move into our culture and with our friends and with our fellow Theosophists. So moving to a little different topic, and that is, how do the Theosophical Society of America and the Theosophical Order of Service work together? How does that work out?
I'm going to start answering this question, and so Ananya, jump in as need be. The organizations are separate organizations. They're autonomous. The TOS has its own board of directors, its own officers, its own bylaws. It is an independent organization. The Theosophical Society in America is also an independent organization with all of those same pieces and parts. However, the two organizations work together. We collaborate, we network, we come together because the TOS, well, as I mentioned earlier, the TOS is the service arm of the Theosophical Society. But the TOS is how many members and non-members put their theosophical beliefs into action. Ananya, how would you describe it?
Well, I was going to be facetious and say, well, first you start with your best friend. So part of this is the fact that Barbara and I have a long-standing friendship, long before she became president and I became president and so forth. But the fact that we're both presidents of these separate organizations has allowed us to really bring that quality of sisterhood into place. And when we see an opportunity, just like when we did the recording for when the war in Ukraine started, I mean, that was an effort that we did together, specifically because we wanted to show that we were united and we were both, both organizations were supporting, helping in any way that we could, because we have a sister who is the head of the Ukraine section of the Theosophical Society. I was going to say something else, but the thought just kind of fluttered out of my head.
Well, let me ask you something about just the secret that most people probably don't know is, where is our office located for the TOS?
Our office is located at we have a physical office. We have a physical office that's in the Wheaton building where the national headquarters is. And that actually was the brainchild of Betty Bland, because Betty Bland had been on the board for several years as a TOS member and also an officer. I mean, she held the position of treasurer, she's held the position of secretary, she's been a board director, and she loves service. So she felt that it was really integral for the Theosophical Order of Service to have its own office where the National TSA headquarters is.
Yes, and if you have an opportunity, please visit our YouTube channel. Hopefully you're watching this on our YouTube channel, and you can see an interview with Betty Bland where she talks about some of that. So we hope you'll take a look at that. What are some of the current projects that we have going on in the TOS?
Well, right now we support a lot of different types of projects. We do two things. One is that we do grants to other organizations as a board that we find worthy of our interest, and we represent our constituency. And so right now we're doing funding for outside organizations, such as the Oglala Nursing College. We've had a scholarship there for probably 6 or 7 years now, right, Ananya? Where we help a student from the tribe that is economically unable to go to college, get a scholarship to go to nursing school. And that's a wonderful program. We also sponsor the Lakota Waldorf School. We sponsor the Theosophical Society's prisoner program every year. We also sponsor locally the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans, because that's a tremendous need in our community and around the country, I think. And we also sponsor some international programs. We sponsor the Golden Link College, which a lot of people don't know is a Theosophical college in the Philippines that uses Theosophical principles for education. We sponsor the Women's Training Institute, the Alcott Educational Society inside Adyar, to help local women in India become self-sufficient and to get trades so that they can work in the workplace And then the two outside organizations that we're sponsoring this year are Compassion in Farming, which is a wonderful organization that works to try to make sure that animals are treated fairly in farming, because we know how horrible factory farming is in this country. They do a lot of good work for that. And then we're also sponsoring this year, new is the Ironwood Pig Sanctuary, which is an organization that helps to heal pigs that have been abused or neglected and on farms. And we know pigs are of a very, very high intelligence and are very compassionate animals. So we're helping with that this year. So in the grants that we've committed to outside organizations, that covers what we do. But we also should talk a little bit about what we do with our local groups, shouldn't we, Ananya?
Yeah, so, you know, around the nation, there are local groups. In fact, Kathy Gann is involved heavily with her group in Denver. And I think she'll talk a little bit about what her local group has done. But within our Wheaton group, I mean, we were working at, as Jason had said, the People's Resource Center, which is offers a food pantry as well as a closet for number of people who are of low income. And, you know, we've helped out at the Humanitarian Service Project, which used to be a Theosophical Order of Service project that got so big that it became its own organization. That's now run by Floyd Kettering, who you got to interview. And so if anyone hasn't seen that interview, it's really wonderful. And you did a wonderful job by just letting him talk, because his story is incredible. Floyd's a wonderful person. But, you know, for a number of times we were doing, we were working at a church. We worked at a church as a warming center, offering hot cocoa during the winter time. And we've done a number of, the local groups do their own, they serve the needs of the community. So I'm going to pass this on to Kathy, and maybe Kathy can talk about her group.
Sure. Again, I'm with the Denver group. And of course, like other groups, when the pandemic hit, we wondered how on earth we would carry on our service projects. We like to combine our service projects with the holidays, with the Christmas holidays. So typically we will have members bring items either for maybe an animal shelter or a children's project, and we have them bring those items. We collect them at our holiday party. But during the pandemic, of course, we were not having a holiday party in person. So we had to think a little bit about how we were going to continue to carry on service. And what we did in December of 2020 is we chose a charity called the Denver Children's Home, and they help kids who have survived trauma, neglect, and abuse confront serious mental health challenges. So their services include things like prevention, intervention, treatment programs grounded in trauma-informed care and the latest in brain development research. And they also have a little division that pulls together Christmas presents for the kids every December. And oftentimes, those Christmas presents donated by the community are the only presents that those kids are likely to receive. So it's a really important project. So what we did was our members would look at the wish list of the organization, and they were quite specific about what kinds of toys and gifts they were looking for, what the kids would enjoy, what was in that year, and what kids were hoping for from Santa. We looked at that wish list, we ordered them on the internet, they were drop shipped to my home. And then when we were all done, I loaded them into my car, took them down to the children's home. It was a very cold day, and they wouldn't let me in, of course, because we were just in the throes of the pandemic. Nobody had been vaccinated at that point. So I would take armloads and box loads up and put it on the steps of the organization. And when I would go back to the car to get another load, the gal from inside would come out and she'd gather it all and take it inside. And then we just did load by load by load that way. In December of 2021, we chose another organization that's local here. It's called Warren Village, and it houses low income and single parent families. most, if not all, of the single parent families living at Warren Village have either experienced homelessness or they have been on the brink. And so they were not stably housed. They have an incredible success rate of greater than 90% in terms of keeping people or pulling people away from poverty and into stable houses and productive lifestyles. They do this by providing safe and affordable housing for the single parents and their children. They have parent services such as career education, financial counseling, life skills, parenting classes, and of course, early education and childcare. Once again, every December, Santa himself shows up along with a few elves and distributes Christmas presents that have been donated by community members. Our study center secretary, Lisa Luong, has been the coordinator of that Christmas present program for years and years. So it was kind of a natural for us to join in that effort. So again, we used the drop shipping method, and we either drop shipped, well, she posted a list of presents online, and all you got to know was the child's name, gender, and age. Those were all the clues we were getting. And then each child is to get both a fun gift and a practical gift. So you could sign up for as many or as few as you wanted to. So then we either had those gifts drop shipped to Lisa's home, or in my case, I delivered them to her home. And she, loaded them up and took them all over there. And normally Santa goes door to door, but I think for the pandemic, they maybe did it a little differently. I'm not sure exactly how they distributed them. Santa might have left the present at the door and then moved on. I'm not quite sure, but those were distributed to the kids just a little bit in advance of Christmas. So those are a couple of the ways that we found to keep on going during the pandemic.
And I'm just going to move on for us to mention what we did at the national level during the pandemic. We had a few projects. Jason, you want to tell us about those?
Well, the first we did during the pandemic was we realized that there was, when the whole country shut down, it was traumatic to a lot of different areas. And I actually had a friend in Los Angeles who started this little program that I talked to, and she was doing something called Feed ERs. And she was doing a program where people were donating money online through some fundraising, one of the fundraising platforms out there. And then she was taking that money and then bringing it to one of her local ERs. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. But I felt like there was still something else missing, and that was assistance for a lot of the local restaurants that were losing staff, losing orders, losing customers. And so we put this program together to try to bring meals to healthcare workers that were overwhelmed by the COVID hours they were having to work and everything else. And then also combine that with local restaurants to make vegetarian meals and bring those meals to the hospital. So we were able to collect from our members over $8,000 of donations during that time. And those donations were fed to 11 different hospitals and to the workers in the hospitals around the country. We had members from everywhere, from Washington to Philadelphia to Tuba City, which is the Navajo Nation in the Southwest. So we had members all over the country that were going out, finding the need, finding the restaurants, and we were funding them through the donations. And it was one of the most gratifying programs I've worked with TOS, because the overwhelming support that we got from our membership to do this work, and the volunteers at the local level that went out and did it, just did a fabulous job. And I think we made a difference in a lot of people's lives at a time where people were stressed and people were tired. And I know, because I went and delivered some of the meals in Chicago at Northwestern Hospital, the faces the overwhelming thanks that we got from the people that we helped, not only from the restaurant side, but also from the healthcare worker side, was very gratifying.
Yes, I think we went into shock and into mourning when we had the pandemic, but there are also other disasters that happen internationally. And just briefly, if either Nanya or Jason, if you would mention the Ukraine effort and what we've done for them.
So the Ukraine effort, when the war started, we reached out to Ukraine because we have the General Secretary out there, who's also the head of the TOS. And we didn't get any response from her. We weren't really sure what was going on. But we did hear from the head of the Hungarian section, and so immediately started raising money, which was because Hungary was helping a number of the refugees that were coming from Ukraine. But since then, we've been helping refugees that are in Romania. We've been helping refugees in Hungary, and we've also been helping the refugees that are internally displaced in Ukraine. And that has been headed up by Svetlana Gergenko, who is the General Secretary of the Ukrainian section. And I think we've had donations come in to the total of about $20,000. So that money gets distributed. We get accounts of how the money is being spent, where people are going to be able to help other people, you know, what supplies are being bought, that kind of thing. And the pictures that are coming from Ukraine are kind of stunning, and the work that's being done. So there is a gentleman named Alexander who takes his car, his own personal car, drives into Russian occupied territory to drop off supplies for people who have nothing. I mean, who are, you know, going without having any water. They'll bring water for them. They'll bring supplies for kids. They'll bring school supplies so children can continue studying. But it's just phenomenal, the work that is going on in Ukraine. And it hasn't, you know, the war is not over, as we can see by the headlines of the newspapers. So this is something that we are, you know, talking about continuing to, as long as the support is there, we will keep on helping.
Thank you. And to go from a very serious and heavy topic, we're going to go to a lighter topic now. And maybe if a couple of you would share on what your favorite memory of working on a TOS project is or was.
So the one I remember the best was the campaign for kindness that we launched in 2017 when I was on the board. We encourage people to just be cognizant of opportunities in their normal daily lives where they could just perform little acts of kindness, just go out of their way to perform a little act of kindness. It could be something little, something big. We left it totally up to everybody what they wanted to do. When the reports started rolling in, what we saw is that this was something that was part of everybody's daily lives. This wasn't a special thing that they went out and did, because they were showing kindness every single day. This was how they were living their lives. They were putting their theosophical ideals into action. And it was just extremely moving just to hear them describe their projects and why they did it, just to make somebody's day a little bit better, for example. It was one of the most inspiring projects that I've ever seen, because it really shows that, you know, a lot of times I think people think that Theosophists study about service and we talk about service and so forth. This shows that these people were living it because it's who they are. It's ingrained in their very nature.
That's wonderful. Kindness is contagious. Is there anyone else that has a memory of working with TOS and you'd like to share, or a particular event?
I do. In I think it was 2018 at the Summer National Convention, the TS and the TSA and the TOS collaborated for an afternoon of service. And one of the aspects, people had different things that they could choose, including a discussion group about service, but going to the humanitarian service project and organizing food to be distributed, to a meditation, sending peace out into the world. And but the part that I enjoyed the most was Ananya had made contact with some social workers in the area, the child protection agency in the area. When children are removed from their homes or are moved from home to home, typically they carry their belongings in a trash bag, which is just heartbreaking. And so Ananya arranged for us to get book bags that we put a variety of different things into, including, I think, teddy bears.
Mhm.
And the people who participated in that aspect of service that afternoon had a wonderful, joyous time preparing these book bags to be distributed to the children. And they also put notes in them of love and compassion and wishing the child well on their journey. Did you want to add anything to that, Ananya? It was a fun afternoon.
Yeah, there was, so I remember that activity, and we had donated money to the organization to be able to get these bags, and the people were allowed to paint them and so forth. And we had more people than we had bags. That's how many people signed up to do this project. They could have worked out in the garden, they could have gone and done a meditation, but everybody showed up to do these bags for these children. And it was amazing. It was just amazing. It was the amount of creativity and the amount of love that was in that room on that day was just phenomenal. And so I don't know, I'm looking forward to having SNC in person again so that we can do it another afternoon of service, because for the two times that we've done it, it's just been, the outpouring is really good.
Well, we could share and talk about things for a very long time, but I think we're going to have to end here. And I want to thank everyone so much for coming. Invite all of you to visit our website, our YouTube channel, and all the interviews that we have to share your compassion and your courage. We're all together in this wonderful community called the Theosophical Order of Service. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.